All right, everyone, welcome back to AfroCannes 2025. We're very happy to be here at the Villa des Ministres during the Cannes Film Festival and excited to sit here with wonderful producer, writer, educator, video game designer, promoter. Okay, many different things. Ms. Mélissandre Monatus.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me today, Ernest.
Yes. So you are based between Martinique and France, is that correct?
No, I actually was born and raised in Paris, France.
Okay.
My family is from the Caribbean, so from Martinique. I only went
a few times,
yes. But I do get, interested in my culture, of
Sure.
course. So I'm mixed race.
Okay. Well, you lean into and promote Caribbean culture, storytelling, in many different platforms in many different ways. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. I started with the video game industry. As you said earlier, I'm promoting marketing. I'm promoting the video game from Africa and also from the Caribbean. Mostly I'm working for instance, with Muriel Tramis, who is our pioneer in France, but also she's the female pioneer in the world, and she's Martinique as well, from Martinique, sorry. I collaborate with her on our project. She's the first female having done games about the Caribbean as well.
So that's amazing that we've got this kind of representation and perspective, though hopefully she won't be the only or the last for many.
No, she won't be the last, but she was the first.
Amazing.
And I'm trying to do that in my own way with the film documentary. I became a film director only last year, actually. It's very
recent, comparatively recent.
Yes, I did my movie last year. I had already 4 awards from it. It's called La Peau Chapée, and it's actually a Creole term from Martinique. That means the skin color that escaped the status of slave.
Okay.
So it's quite deep as a meaning, as well as how we were educated to translate the skin color as of today, and that's why I'm trying to make obvious in my movies that at the time during slavery, my skin color was somehow sort of escaping the system.
Okay.
And I think today we still have some issues with the skin color, at least in France. And I know in US as well, of course.
Sure. I mean, everywhere that's in a colonized society has had that.
Unfortunately, yes. So that my movie is talking about that kind of subject, but with testimonies from people who are either famous or not. And anyone actually could have been, a part of the movie. Everyone has a story to tell. But the way we managed to make it interesting is that we had like a conversation of people who don't know each other. So they had to discover their own history, and they had to also talk about a documentation they never saw before, and that documentation is the classification of what we call the classification of Moreau de Saint-Méry, who was an esclavagist. I don't know if that's the right term.
A slave owner or an enslaver?
It was a slave owner, yeah. He was a slave owner. There's also a philosophical person.
A philosopher.
Philosopher, thank you. And he theorized the skin colors, as you have, I think, in the US, and say, okay, you are like this and this and this, and because you are like this and this and this, then you can be in this society. Okay.
So in the US, it's slightly different. The color line was much more solid. And so in terms of who was enslaved and who was considered Black, that was always based on your heritage, not how it showed up physically. And so for people who might have had what they call the one-drop rule or the rule of hypo descent. So for example, in my home state of Florida, the rule was 1/16. So if you had 1 out of 16 grandparents that was considered Black, you were juridically Black, at least until the 1960s. And so my mother, who was like your skin tone, freckles, red hair, she went to segregated schools. She, in her entire life until her 30s, lived in a segregated environment, even though her physical appearance was that of, let's say, Mariah Carey. And so that is the legacy that we're coming out of. And then when I moved to different places like Brazil, like Colombia, and the Dominican Republic, I was told, oh, no, you're not Black, you're caramel, and all of these different things, not just in a way to kind of maybe talk specifically about what people would see in terms of skin tone, but to place me in a social hierarchy.
That's it.
Yes.
That's what my movie is about, actually, because we did that also in the French culture. So, yeah, well, okay.
So, and that's the thing. We've got different, kinds of ways that it has shown up, because even in that, even in the fact that we were all on one side of the color line, within that was still very much the hierarchy of colorism and many different unpleasant ways of describing, who was supposed to be more attractive based on thinness of lips and nose and, curl pattern, et cetera, et cetera. So very interesting to I would love to see the documentary and see how I could relate to it myself.
Oh, I'll be happy for you to see it. Actually, it will be screened on the 21st of May.
Amazing.
The Canopy, it's a Hilton hotel around, so I will definitely make some little bit advertising about that.
Sure.
It will be screened during Cannes Festival. Yes.
Now, what drew you into directing this particular story out of not having done it before?
Well, actually, I have done it in another way.
Oh, okay.
20 years ago, a bit more, while I was a student, I made a thesis around the Black people in the French in the French advertising. So how was considered Black people in French advertising? And in that film, because I was studying media and advertising, so I wanted to understand how we use the Black image, the Black people image. And so that's when it really started. I always had questions about my skin color. I never had issues, to be honest, because I am really quite
self-assured and know who and how you are. Yes,
I know now, but I am also quite white.
Okay.
It helps, my skin color does help, and that's why also I call my film La Peau Chappie, because I know it is a way of escaping some system. But I never had issues myself, but of course I could see my father, for instance, having issues, and some of my friends, and I really felt, okay, that's not fair. Why would I have privileges?
Sure.
And that's what I wanted to question. And still today, that's why I did it with my movie. It's always a question I had to ask. Even my father was asking, why am I this color and you are Black? And I wouldn't get any answer from him. Actually, I would get a slap on the
He would say,
head.
don't talk about this.
We don't talk about it. And that was very painful somehow for him, I think. And it's so, those discussions are really deep. And my movie today is to get people to help people to talk about that, because, and that's what happened when people see the movie, they want to release something, and that's important. Just a testimony can, sometimes get you less heavy in the heart and in the mind. But also talk about these issues. They never do it because it's so personal, and people don't necessarily understand what they are living through.
That's right, especially if they don't know their history, if they don't know the
history of the world.
The place, that's right, 100%. That's the important, why education is so important.
Exactly.
It's not just about your own personal family history. It's about the history of the society that you're living in and how it is showing up in the present.
Exactly, that's exactly what I want to highlight with the movie. I like to call it a pedagogical.
Pedagogical?
Yes, thank you. Pedagogical movie. And also therapeutical movie.
A therapeutic movie as well.
Therapeutic. Oh my God, my English
No,
is
you're
really
fine.
bad.
Again, we're here in France. We should be having this conversation in French. The next time I'm going to try, but I
Okay.
guarantee you it's going to be crap. No, you were wonderful.
You speak French well.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And so when you are, what are some of the other projects that you're excited about coming down the pipeline?
Well, it's going to be related to the skin color again, but
Okay.
I like to explore the albinism.
Albinism, yes.
Because it is, in Africa, from what I heard, you have albinism, well, how do you say? Albinos.
Albinos, yeah.
Albinos, people who are either chased and killed,
Yes.
or venerated, so it depends. But most of the time they are chased. And it's also a disease, of course, because you cannot really stand under the sun.
Yes.
And I like to explore the beauty of the albinism, and also what else, the disease and the beliefs around that. That's something I'd like to do. And also study a little bit more the mixed racing, so that's another subject.
Sure.
Which is more related to what I have done so far with La Pochette, to explore how we see mixed race people across the globe. So how it is perceived in Latin America, for instance, in the Caribbean, in Africa, in the Oceania, and Europe.
Sure.
Or in Asia, because of course in Asia, for instance, it might be completely different.
Sure.
From the US. So that's something I'd like to do as well. But it requires a lot of money. And my first movie, I have to say, we did it without a budget. So really, a lot of people worked on it with the heart. And I'd like today to make it, commercially viable.
Yes.
But of course, for the next, now I have shown what we are capable of. I'd like to, get more budget for another project.
Well, I think it's important to make these passion projects profitable. And so I definitely understand that. And I'm excited again to know more, simply because as what I would consider to be a mixed race Black person, someone who was socialized in the Black community to identify as Black and still, comes from a mixed race heritage. Things have changed over time, even that identification over my almost 50 years of life. And so, I'm eager to see just how in depth you can go with this, and maybe even show up with a documentary series, because many different places have so many different stories in that regard.
You said it would be a series.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. How can people find out more about your work and what you're up to?
Well, I am on the social media, of course, like Instagram, so Mel_Monatus. On LinkedIn, I am also there. Mélissandre Monatus on LinkedIn. And Facebook, Mel Alia, because Alia was one of my favorite singers
yes.
back in the time. So Mel Alia. But yes, otherwise, I hope to actually screen my movie in some places in Paris for now, then in the Caribbean, like in Martinique. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, my movie, to be honest, I didn't mention that, but I have had the chance to screen it at the Assemblée Nationale, which is one of the highest place in Paris you can actually go to. And then a month ago, 2 weeks ago, at the Sorbonne, which is in an amphitheater, which is Richelieu Theater, like 500 people. And for each screening, I had so many people interested in the movie but could not enter, so I'm trying to get more screenings so people can actually come and see it. And so there is a demand, that's for sure, there is a demand for that kind of subject. And I haven't done many advertising about that. So it's
word of mouth has served.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. This is a subject that does touch everyone, even though our skin color is probably 0.0001% of the differences that we have, between as human beings, right? It's just the color of the car.
Exactly.
And yet we live as if it's sometimes the most important thing.
Absolutely. And plus, at La Sorbonne we had like what is it? No, it was not a genealogist. An historian, but also sorry, I missed the word. Someone who can actually study the cells and so on. A genetician, sorry.
Geneticist?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not an easy word.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're great.
Geneticist. And he mentioned that actually the skin color is so complex. You can look white and never have white cells. White
genetics.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to say. It's a construction. It's social construction.
That's right.
Nothing else. And that's the purpose of the movie, to deconstruct some thoughts that are too old now to be going on still.
That's right. That we need to move away from.
Yes.
Mélissandre Monatus, thank you so much for being here. It was an honor, privilege, and pleasure. And excited to see what you've got coming down the pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Thank you very much.